Blessings, namaste, and love everyone, and happy new year. I'm spiritualist, psychic astrologer, and medium Sette. As always, thank you for allowing me this opportunity to share with you my astrological and spiritual insights. And in this segment, we are looking to the month of January 2026. It is commonly welcomed as a new year. However, astrologically and spiritually, we really don't offer a lot of attention or credibility or weight to the Gregorian civil calendar that many of us use. We go by the astrological cycles. These, as we understand, are really the true and natural cycles of nature and the world in which we live. We, as human beings, have been designed to work with these cycles of nature. Unfortunately, we have not conventionally been taught or inspired to recognize how we have these connections with nature. Every one of us, even those who don't recognize or understand, we have these connections with these natural innate cycles, and we are intended to work with these cycles, such as the astrological cycles. Everything astrologically has to do with cycles. Everything is cyclical, and we look to these cycles and we inspire you, at least I do. I inspire you how to work with these energies. You know, I've said many times how anything will ultimately unfold is really based upon our free will and how we are choosing to embrace whatever spirit is offering us by these planetary cycles. Every sign planet has a lower and a higher vibrational polarity, and dependent upon where we are directing our attention, that's what we will bring to form. Now, I'm keeping this very simple. It's a rudimentary explanation how this all works, and I do trust that those who are welcoming and receiving these understandings will precisely understand what it is that I am inspiring you to recognize, and it's all about knowing your power. That's the bottom line with all of this. Really knowing your power, knowing the innate creative ability that we all have inside of us. And as I've said many times, creativity is not specific to art and music. Creativity is infinite, and every one of us is a creative being. We have the power to create our realities, and that's why, for many reasons, why we share these inspirations. Now, for those who choose to embrace, we actually look to, at least I do, to the beginning of the year as when the very first sunrise takes place in the United States. And that particular moment is January 1st, 2026 at exactly 7:03:54 a.m. Eastern Standard Time in Lubec, Maine, in the United States. That's when here in the United States we experience our very, very first sunrise. Also, and I know I've probably shared this before, the day begins, astrologically, the day begins at the precise moment of sunrise, not at midnight. And each day at that moment is specifically connected to one of the seven elements: sun, moon, Mercury, Venus, and Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn. For example, at the moment of sunrise on a Monday, the moon is the ruler of that planetary hour, hence being the ruler of that day. As always, I seem to be going off on a tangent, but I'm inspired so often to share with you so many insights that I feel that sometimes these platforms are so limiting, and I hope I don't create confusion, and I do trust to inspire you to just, explore all these understandings that those like myself share with you. That being said, the sign Capricorn will always be rising at that moment on January 1st. And Capricorn, among many things, represents our goals. And many times at the start of the year, we set out our New Year resolutions, if you will, the goals and that which we choose to bring to form, experience during the coming year. And how many of us are not able to really actually accomplish those goals? Part of the reason, if you will, is that we're not properly working with the cycles of nature. And we're casting in motion an intention that may not necessarily be an auspicious opportunity to fortify the intention. I'm always suggesting whenever it is we desire to initiate or begin an experience, it's always suggested to do so on a new moon. A new moon begins a new cycle of experience. Now, that is a very simple explanation. There are other cycles of experience that suggest a more productive and auspicious moment to endeavor upon a specific goal or whatever that may be. And this is why we look specifically to our astrological charts to see what is working with our personal energies, so to assist us. It's all about assisting us in creating our realities. That being said, we always suggest to allow yourself to just become very clear with what it is that you choose to experience, create, bring to form, whatever that might be. The process of creation, which is thought, word, and deed, is always suggested to commence with great clarity. The clearer that we are, the more exacting we are with our intentions as to what it is that we choose to bring to form, assist the universe in allowing us to manifest that reality. So my first suggestion is to just really allow yourself to become as clear as possible as what it is that you choose to desire to bring to form an experience in the coming year, as well as allowing yourself to permit spirit to assist you in modifying those goals. Remember, spirit can see the bigger picture. We really are the only ones who deny us anything we choose to experience. Spirits, the universe, whatever that might be, is very much willing to assist us in creating our realities. Remember, spirit can see the bigger picture. So it can see the opportunities and the situations far greater than our human hindered eyes will allow ourselves to observe. So when we allow ourselves to be guided by spirit and consider the opportunities and the possibilities that spirit is sharing with us, we modify those goals so that we can embrace them even greater than we can possibly imagine. So, as I said, allow yourself to really, as we begin this new time, become and allow yourself to permit yourself to be very clear with what it is you choose to really encounter as we move through this coming year. Now, regarding goals, our first full moon of 2026 is on January 3rd, and the exact moment of the full moon is January 3rd, 2026 at 5:02:51 a.m. That's 5:02:51 seconds a.m. Eastern Standard Time here in the United States. And the full moon is in the sign of Capricorn, and the full moon is in the sign of Cancer. The sun is in the sign of Capricorn, and the full moon is in close proximity to Jupiter, and it's forming an opposition to the sun in Capricorn. An opposition are when two elements are diametrically opposed one another, as on a full moon when the sun and moon are directly opposite one another, and everything is heightened, everything is culminated. And that full moon is opposing quite a few Capricorn elements, Mercury, Venus, the Sun, and Mars in the signs of Capricorn. And what I say with that, or rather why I'm touching upon that experience, is that is allowing us to really, one, become even more clear with the goals that are in alignment with our true intentions, as well as perhaps a greater purpose. But what I emphasize regarding the full moon in Cancer connects with, among many things, our emotions, our feelings. Now, part of the creative process is that the element of passion, which I've talked about many times, which is also the moon being in the sign of Cancer. I've also said that what it is that we are passionate about in life is very much an indication of a greater purpose. So this full moon being in the sign of Cancer, allow yourself to really just recognize what you are very passionate about in life, but also it's an opportunity to release emotional discord, which may be interfering with the clarity of that passion, as well as bringing to form those desires. I talk about that passion, those feelings really is what fuels the creative process. And the greater that we can become clear in our emotions, our thoughts, whatever that might be, the greater we have the ability to bring to form our desires and to recognize that we really are the masters of our destiny, and how we are creating all that we encounter in this human form. And in order to be more effective with the process, it is suggested to begin with clarity. So let this full moon allow yourself, throughout this full moon, allow yourself to be even more clear of your true desires, perhaps even a greater purpose, but also know that you have the ability to bring to form all that is that you desire to experience while we are in this human form. Spirit does not deny. We're conventionally taught that there's a system of reward and punishment. That is in part connected to karma, but karma really has very little to do with reward and punishment. Karma connects with balance. Karma, just as the ruler of Capricorn, which is Saturn, is really about creating balance. And it's about whatever it is we cast in motion, it's creating that balance and allowing ourselves to receive whatever it is that energy-wise, intentions, whatever that might be, we are setting in motion. That's really what karma is about. It's really about creating a balance. And what I'm emphasizing is certainly the awareness of clarity. You know, we really can't emphasize enough the importance of remaining clear and grounded so that we can recognize that we are creating our realities and to bring to form really what it is that we truly desire to experience while we are in this human encounter. I digressed a little bit, but I wanted to mention that in terms of planetary cycles, the new year, if you will, really is connected with the Lunar New Year, which this year in 2026 begins on February 17th, which is, interestingly enough, a solar eclipse. So I'll touch upon that in my next video, but I do want to emphasize that we are going into our next eclipse season, which is February going into March. So all of this is getting us ready for what might be coming next. This full moon coming up on January 3rd is very, very intense. And many what we refer to as higher truths may come to light, may come to the surface. You know, some might be uncomfortable truths, but again, once we recognize what it is that we are connected to, there's really nothing to fear. We are all connected to that which created everything on Earth, in the universe, in the cosmos, whatever it is, then that power, we're always being inspired to recognize that power. Now, our new moon in January is on January 18th. Before the new moon, as I'm always referring to, is the balsamic moon phase, which is the last phase of the lunar cycle, which is the opportunity to prepare for the coming lunar cycle. So the balsamic moon phase begins on January 14th at 2026 at 2 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That is the auspicious opportunity to energetically prepare for the coming new moon. Now, once again, I'm emphasizing that Capricorn element. The new moon on January 18th, which is at 2:55 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, is in the late degrees of Capricorn. Now, as I said, Capricorn connects with many things, specifically our goals. So part of what I would suggest at the balsamic moon phase is to allow yourself to recognize perhaps what goals may not necessarily be in alignment with your true desires. Remember, part of the experience, there's so many facets of all of this, is when the creative process of thought, word, and deed is in alignment with one another, we become even more effective at bringing to form, manifesting all that we desire to experience. And this Capricorn new moon is about becoming very clear with your true intentions and your true desires, but also knowing that you have that ability and that power to bring it all to form. Capricorn, the archetypal typical element of Capricorn is the mountain goat. Think about what that mountain goat endures to ascend and achieve that summit on a very high, oftentimes very cold mountain. It's very determined. It perseveres, and that's part of that Capricorn element, being very disciplined and determined and rising above and embracing whatever is necessary to achieve that pinnacle in your life. Many times the Capricorn element, when it perseveres and it endures, is very successful at a later point in their lives. And it doesn't mean that everyone will achieve success at a later point in their lives. Again, it's all part of our cycles of experience, as well as why it is that we are here. But what I'm emphasizing is the discipline and the determination in achieving your goals. Become clear, disciplined, and determined, and know that you have the power within you, already within you. You don't have to, go out and find it anywhere. It's already inside you. Spiritually and metaphysically, and even in the Buddhist teachings, we're taught to recognize that power. It's already inside of us. We don't have to go out and look elsewhere. We don't have to go to a church or a temple or a synagogue or a mosque or anything else to know that power. It's already inside of us. We're just here to remember that part of us that really is connected to that source which created everything. Just look outside. Everything that has been created, again, on Earth and in the cosmos, that power is inside of us. And these cycles of experience, especially in 2026, we're so going to be presented with these opportunities to really know that power, to really know it, and then demonstrate it. And the essence of it is really at the power of love. And I will talk about that at a little bit of a later time. Specifically, I'd like to create some videos that are dedicated to some exacting cycles that are very unique, that are coming, that have never, in terms of my astrological research, really have never occurred before. And that's just an indication of how extraordinary these times that we are experiencing right now really are. Now, on January 19th, the sun transits into the sign of Aquarius, and that exact moment is January 19th, 2026 at 8:53 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Now, Aquarius is a sign that represents, among many things, the humanitarian. It's certainly the age of Aquarius, which, I remember about a year or so, maybe a little bit more, when Pluto first moved into Aquarius, everyone was saying, oh, we're in the age of Aquarius, we're in the age of Aquarius. No. Based on my calculations, the age of Aquarius may not necessarily be until about the year 2165. That being said, it does not mean or suggest that we can't enjoy the many blessings of a golden age. Remember, first and foremost, these experiences need to take place within ourselves, and we are inspired to create that golden age, if you will, in our own reality first. Sometimes I hesitate sharing certain insights because they are much too vast to elaborate upon, in these platforms. But in terms of reality and creating a reality, everyone has their own specific reality. And not one reality is more truthful than another. And what I say with that is to recognize, one, you have the power to create that golden age first and foremost within yourself. The outside experience is what we observe. They're all relative to the individuals. Not one truth is more precise, accurate, or correct than another. But what I would suggest to recognize is creating your reality and creating the blessings that you desire to experience. Offer very little attention to what occurs in the outside world. Remember, it's all relative. It's not absolute, and it's not necessarily what we might refer to as being correct. It's all relative. It's all based upon how we are perceiving what is occurring in the outside world. And again, the essence of all of this is to recognize your power and that you have the ability to really create your reality and all that it is that you choose to desire to experience. We just have to understand how to work with these cycles and with the tools that are available, as well as what we might refer to as the parameters of this human experience. Remember, we're not limited to this physical form. We are connected to something greater, and we have that power inside of us. And what I would suggest to recognize, because every time the sun passes a sign, we're inspired to tap into the elements of a specific sign, and what I refer to as, or what I'm emphasizing as the sun transits the sign of Aquarius, to know that we all have the ability to really be humanitarian and to create great things that will benefit the all of humanity. But first it has to happen within ourselves, and we always suggest to create anything, whatever that might be, from a place of love. As long as what we're bringing to form, whatever we're creating, as long as it's encoded and it begins with that intention of love and is encoded with that element of love, that's really all that matters. Because by creating something from a place of love, that's what you're casting in motion. That's what you're offering to humanity. That's what's allowing you to really be a humanitarian, facilitate great change, and to bring forth many blessings, such as a golden age for all of us to experience. And first, we need to do it within ourselves. That being said, as always, I thank you for allowing me this opportunity to share with you some of my astrological and spiritual insights of this coming month and the coming times. It is my intention to continue inspiring you to recognize your own power. I am going through my own personal transformational experience. I have been stepping back from certain things, and that being said, I will continue creating my forecasts, such as my full and new moon forecast, which if you haven't already done so, you can go on my website and sign up for my newsletter. When I announce that I've released my forecast as well as my videos, I generally send about maybe 3 or 4 emails a month. I don't like to send out too many emails and bombard everyone. However, you can go on my website, and on the upper right-hand corner of my website include your email, and you will be placed upon my list, and you will be notified when videos like this are shared, as well as my forecast and some of my appearances, public appearances as well. And as I said, I will continue to endeavor toward creating these inspirational materials, so to inspire you to know the greatest power of your being, your greatest human potential, as I've created in my book, The Planets Align So Rare. Once again, I'm spiritualist, psychic, astrologer, and medium Ray Sette. Thank you for allowing me this opportunity to share with you these insights, and I know we will see each other again very, very soon. Many blessings. Namaste.